Greetings and welcome. This is Rajiv Makhni on the Sale Guru Show, and things are now really getting to be amazing. Our big story today is the next generation of Corning Gorilla Glass. Yes, Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 is here. Just announced a few days back, and it is looking absolutely fantastic. So I'll tell you what has happened, what is different now, what is the big changes that they've made, how quickly it will be getting to you, and we'll also speak to the Vice President and General Manager of Corning Gorilla Glass. It's going to give us some really good inside information. Then we'll move on to our very famous Qualcomm segment. How a smartphone enabled this entire story. I'm going to introduce you to Dhruv Prakash. He's a smartphone photography teacher. Yes, he teaches how to take amazing pictures on a smartphone. Yes, it's a career choice and people are lining up to take that class from him. Then we'll take our big review in the Asus ROG 6. So while Asus introduced the ROG 6 a few months back, they've now launched it in India and we've got a review product with us. 12 GB RAM, 256 GB of storage. It's about 71,000 rupees. It's got it all, but is it coming in too late? There is a Pro variant also. We'll find out, does it continue to be the best gaming phone in the world? That and a whole lot more on the Sale Guru Show. All right, the big news is in. You wait for it all year round and it's here with us, the next generation of the Corning Gorilla Glass Victus. They call it the Victus 2. And this is a massive leap forward. The interesting thing is, how do you feel so secure about your phone nowadays? It's because of Corning Gorilla Glass. Those phones that have Corning Gorilla Glass versus those that don't. There's a psychological difference, there is a physical difference, there is an actual impact of how those phones work. So today we moved on to the next generation. So what's the big deal? How is it different? What do they do different with it? Has they made it more safe, more secure? I mean, what's the big thing they've been talking about? That this now can actually survive crashes on concrete. And they've actually tested it all over the world. This is a big story because the kind of phones that we'll be getting now with Victus 2 are just around the corner.
Durability is the number one feature that people look out for when buying a new phone. And the protection at the front of your phone is the most important thing keeping your phone safe. Corning's Gorilla Glass Victus has established itself as the best in the business, and now the company is taking a giant leap ahead with Victus 2 to make it even stronger. Gorilla Glass Victus 2 has tackled phone protection from multiple angles. Our phones have become bigger, longer, heavier, and we also drop them on various surfaces like asphalt and concrete. Victus 2 can survive 1 meter drops onto concrete now, which translates to a drop from your waist height. If you happen to be walking on asphalt, the glass can survive drops from 2 meters, which would be around your head height. Alternative solutions fail to survive drops from a height from even half a meter in lab test. While the protection against scratches remains the same as the older Gorilla Glass Victus, Corning claims that the enhanced formulation was developed to counter heavier and larger phones as well as the kind of surfaces that we all encounter on a daily basis. So when can you expect it on your next smartphone? Well, the product is expected to hit smartphones sometime in the next few months.
All right, all the inside information now coming in. An interview with Dave Velasquez. He's the Vice President and General Manager, Corning Gorilla Glass. Dave, fantastic to have you on the show. So Dave, what's significantly changed about Corning Gorilla Glass with the launch of Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 now?
Great, thanks. Well, the first thing they can expect is the phone's going to break a lot less. If you remember when we launched Victus 1 a couple years ago, the big kind of aha moment was we were able to deliver 2 meter drop survival on rough surfaces while maintaining outstanding scratch performance. So that's hence the kind of the brand adder of Victus kind of coalesced on both of those, kind of improved break and the scratch performance up to the 2 meter drop. Now, as we've been working on this for about 15 years or so, as long as the business has been around, and we have analyzed tens of thousands of phones. And our OEM customers have analyzed all kinds of broken phones, right? And over time, what we've noticed is a couple of very big trends in these devices. One, the types of surfaces that are causing breaks. Remember, we've made the glass better and better over time, right? And so now the types of surfaces that are causing the phones to break are getting rougher, right? So we went back to the drawing board, and we redesigned the glass, and we've delivered improved performance on much rougher surfaces. Now we've delivered this new glass that's going to survive at about 1 meter height. It maintains all that 2 meter performance from the previous generation of Victus, but now is going to deliver improved performance and survival at 1 meter and on the rougher surfaces at a heavier phone weight.
Now, this part that I find very fascinating is this entire idea that you've now tested it on concrete. What's the difference between concrete and asphalt? Aren't they equally tough surfaces?
They're similar if you look at them as from a layman's eyes. Certainly, if you look at them from looking down on the surface, they look similar. But if you really get down and you look really closely at the surfaces, right, the materials that these surfaces are made of, right, as well as the roughness. Think about this kind of the surface roughness as you rub your hand across these different surfaces, right? It's different. Concrete is a rougher surface and has harder materials inside it.
They're fascinating stuff, but as a consumer, why should I care that Corning Gorilla Glass Victus can now survive on concrete?
Well, I think, again, because we've made the materials so much better over time, right? It takes a tougher surface, a rougher surface, to actually make the phone break. And so these are the surfaces that are causing the phones to break of the ones that we're receiving to do analysis on. Right. So from a consumer's perspective, they know that in the real world, in their life, right, concrete's one of the most well deployed, popular materials, the man-made materials on Earth, if you think about it. So it's all over the place, and it is the thing that is causing more and more breaks over time. So I think the consumer should think of, well, this is the surface that's causing the breaks. Now I've got a glass that's going to help prevent that breakage from that, to 1 meter height.
So is Gorilla Glass Victus 2 the toughest glass for smartphones? Is it better than Ceramic Shield? How does it compare to Ceramic Shield?
So we don't do direct comparisons on a materials to materials basis. But what I can tell you is that Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 is the best glass out there, right, by far. Now, glass ceramic is a different types of material. We were the world's leader and pusher of glass ceramics out into the world. Right, so we know have intimate, detailed knowledge about that type of material.
Fascinating, Dave. Thank you so much. I think once again, Corning Gorilla Glass has taken a huge leap forward. The difference between phones which do not have Corning Gorilla Glass and those that do have now really become a big deal. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Let's move on now to our very famous Qualcomm segment. This is the story of Dhruv Prakash. Now, Dhruv Prakash is a photographer and he also teaches photography. But the unique thing is, he teaches photography on smartphones. How to become a great photographer using your smartphone. That's the power of smartphones now. There are nearly 493 million smartphone users in India, and smartphones have been strongly dictating the various aspects of our lives. Today, we use the smartphone for everything. You book a cab, watching content on the go, food, tickets, every kind of thing. Smartphone. Now, a smartphone is probably the most easily available camera that you have on you. It's always with you, fits in the palm of your hand, does not require any fancy adjustments before taking a photo. You can click a photograph at a moment's notice, and the quality is undoubtedly at par with some high-end cameras also. You didn't know that this technology would have advanced to the level that it would open up career avenues that were not even considered earlier. But thanks to digital development, you can now not only think about a career in smartphone photography. Remember, I didn't say photography. A career in smartphone photography. But not only that, you can also teach smartphone photography to others. That's also now a career option. We all know that smartphone photography is now picking up pace, all thanks to social media and online marketing. But did you know that smartphone photography is an art? And one needs to be aware of the nuances of clicking the best images for all your needs. Teaching smartphone photography is an upcoming career opportunity that is now being explored by photography enthusiasts. How to effectively use the camera prowess of the smartphone, the various modes, the lenses, what settings to use for photos, for videos. These were meant solely for social media platforms and now have become an important aspect that one needs to keep in mind for all kinds of photography. Smartphone photography teachers are also taking workshops to help content creators, bloggers, influencers on how to best use the smartphone camera to their advantage. We met Dhruv Prakash, a photographer who also teaches smartphone photography.
Traditional forms of advertising and marketing have undergone a drastic change. The rise of the internet and smartphones has opened up newer avenues of marketing. Online marketing is the need of the hour. Getting the right image for your product is of utmost importance. The pace at which online marketing is growing, it is important for everyone to know how to get that perfect shot to market your product right. Meet Dhruv Prakash. He teaches smartphone photography to help people know how to click the best photographs for online marketing.
If you're making anything other than reels, Hi, I'm Dhruv Prakash. I'm a fashion photographer, filmmaker, and I teach smartphone photography for social media as well.
Dhruv says that it was by chance that he got into teaching smartphone photography. An accidental meeting while he was on recce led him to take on teaching.
A low angle shot? It's a funny story actually. I was in Goa, I was doing a filmmaking course, and I'd gone for a location recce. Usually whenever I'm out taking recce's like this, I usually only take my smartphone because it's a great tool. It's good enough for every sort of image and video that I might need. So I was out there, I was taking photographs, and a couple of people stopped me, tourists I'm assuming, to take a few photos for them. I did that, they really enjoyed what they saw, and they took my number down. The next day, their son actually texted me and wanted to learn from me. And that was honestly my first smartphone photography class. When I got back to Delhi, and as word spread about my smartphone photography classes, a lot of people reached out to me to teach them photography for social media and marketing. So Cool Kanya reached out to me to teach smartphone photography and filmmaking on their online platform, and honestly I feel that was my big break into this world. And from then on I've been working with corporates, social media marketing agencies, and a lot of other online marketers to improve their media, to improve their social media, to make sure that they have people who can take pictures with just their smartphone. And you know, it makes life a lot easier because smartphones are lighter, they're easier to take around, and of course the images on the smartphones are kind of pre-edited when you get to see them.
With the rise of social media and online marketing, it is important to know how to market your product right. It all starts with taking the right image to tell your story. It is not just about making the image look nice, it is about getting the composition, the framing, and the nuances spot on. It is also important that everyone knows the basics of smartphone photography.
Taking a photograph is usually a very intuitive thing nowadays. You can influencers and people who actually have use for these smartphone cameras could benefit from a class in, let's say, composition or framing and things like that to elevate their game, basically. Like it's very useful in marketing to know how a photograph is composed and the impact it has on the people and the way that you want to put your message across through a photograph.
Over the years, Instagram's become this really big thing, and content creation is now giving opportunities to people from every field, no matter what your niche is. And as a designer, I really want to take advantage of that. So smartphone photography is kind of necessary at this point.
As a smartphone photography teacher, there are some pointers that Druv tells his students to keep in mind while taking photos. He says that the phones these days come equipped with the required technology to make sure that the images and videos taken through the phone are of great quality.
Few tips that I have for people shooting on the smartphone would be firstly to always have HDR switched on, because that will always give you the best results for your photographs. Secondly, always tap and focus on your subject. Even though you may think your smartphone's focusing there, it's always best to be doubly sure. Most phones these days have something called OIS, that is optical image stabilization. So, you don't really have to worry that much about keeping it still. So even if you want to do some action shots, go for them, and your phone's really gonna shine through with the OIS. One more thing is burst mode, and Your smartphone has the burst mode for a reason. Take as many photos as you want, and trust me, somewhere or the other you will find that $1 million shot.
Talking about the processor, Dhruv says they play the most important role when it comes to phone photography. From processing the images to making sure that the different modes of the camera run smoothly, to shooting the images in high definition, it is the processor that supports all the features. The processors these days are so powerful that one can also edit the photos on the phone itself and does not need an additional device.
But we have the ability to go and modify them as well. So the processor of the phone is literally the mind, body, heart and soul of it. We have relatively smaller sensors in the phones, and it's these processors that are able to actually bring out the magic that these small sensors have. I mean, the processors are what give your phone the ability to match or nearly match a much larger sensor from a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. So I think they're probably the most important thing in photography for smartphones.
As a fashion photographer and a smartphone photography teacher, Dhruv uses both a DSLR and a smartphone for clicking some stunning images. While the smartphone and the DSLR are quite at par when it comes to the quality of the images, Dhruv believes that there are some places where he thinks the phone can improve.
Especially when you're talking about natural light or outdoors during the day, a smartphone is nearly there. It does everything, nearly everything a DSLR or a mirrorless can do. But when it comes to night mode, we've got a lot of, we've got a lot of AI and a lot of image processing, neural engines and stuff like that for the smartphone. But a DSLR does take the edge there.
If you've been doing photography for a while, or you're a newbie learning the ropes of how to take photos and videos for your social media and marketing needs, Dhruv has a piece of advice for you.
Well, I have one simple advice, is to know the limits and to know the abilities of your device. Because with a clear head and a clear point of view, you can create content that can affect change in this world. It's a very powerful device in your hand and you can do literally anything with it. All you need is the right mindset and the right ideas behind them.
Gone are the days when you needed to do an elaborate photo shoot to market your products. With the rise of the digital era and the exponential growth of online marketing, smartphones have become the go-to cameras for everyone. And it is with teachers like Dhruv who help you brush up your smartphone photography skills to get that $1 million shot.
Now, we had the opportunity to meet this teacher and know more about how he got into teaching smartphone photography to others. Welcome to the show, Druv. How did you think of fitting into this niche space of teaching smartphone photography, specifically smartphone?
So I've been creating content on my DSLR and my mirrorless cameras. I've been taking pictures, I've been shooting videos. But of course, with the rise in social media marketing and internet marketing, and of course with our smartphones becoming as powerful tools as they have now, there is now a niche for people like me to come and teach people how to create the best images that they can through their smartphone.
Wow, interesting. Okay, most pictures that we now see on social media are mainly shot on smartphone cameras. Where do you think people are getting it wrong? And some people are getting it so wrong.
So taking photos and shooting videos is a form of artistic expression. I don't think there's any right or wrong there, but I believe the way people are using their smartphones these days to create new perspectives, to create new angles, to improve transitions, and to make content way more interesting. And they're experimenting with a lot of different things, and that is something that they're doing right.
Thank you so much, Dhruv. This is wonderful. Great speaking with you. Snapdragon is calling all you Cell Guru fans to join their global community called Snapdragon Insiders. Now, this gives you access to the latest scoop on Snapdragon tech, a chance to connect with the experts behind the scenes, premium experiences, exclusive contests, and so much more. I've been a Snapdragon Insider from the very beginning. You can become one too by simply following Snapdragon on their Twitter or Instagram accounts, which are right in front of you. Also, you have a big chance to win a OnePlus smartphone by participating in the NDTV Snapdragon contest at ndtv.com/unleash your dreams. Let's take a quick break right now on the Cell Guru Show. When we come back, lots more. Let's move on now to our big review. This is the Asus ROG 6. Yes, I know what is running in your mind. You're like, this is a phone that got released months back, right? It's got released here in India now. Review units are being given out now. So Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, touch-sensitive air trigger, shoulder buttons, the RGB lighting system, extra charging port. It's got a headphone port, which, is such a rare thing nowadays. But again, the question comes in that Asus ROG phones were the absolute standard for gaming phones. In the last 2 or 3 years, other companies have caught up. But with this delay now, does this throw Asus really out of the market? Plus, the price point has increased. It's now 72,000 rupees.
Today, all premium and mid-range smartphones are powerful enough to run games, but that doesn't undermine the value of a true gaming smartphone. If you are in the market for a gaming smartphone, Asus ROG 6 is a great option, and here is why. Just as you unbox the phone, there is a good-looking device that is hard to miss. The touch-sensitive air trigger, shoulder buttons, and the RGB lighting system makes you stop and take a second look at the device. The screen at the back, called the ROG Vision OLED, showcases different visuals depending on what you are doing with the phone. So if the phone is on charging, the strip will display the charging progress. The device's display comes with a big 6.78-inch with a touch sampling rate of 720Hz. This gives fantastic responsiveness while gaming or using the phone casually. It sports a 165Hz refresh rate, making for a smooth scrolling experience. Asus claims this is the first device that is IPX4 rated. The front is protected with Gorilla Glass Victus. The 1200 nits of peak brightness means that you can use the phone comfortably outdoors. Asus has upgraded its camera capabilities with the ROG 6. It comes with a 50-megapixel main camera, a 13-megapixel ultra-wide camera, and a 5-megapixel macro camera. We were pretty happy with the quality of the images. The 50-megapixel main camera has a good dynamic range and is spot on with the details. The ultra-wide camera performs equally well and shines while taking night shots. The 5-megapixel macro camera does a good job. The 12-megapixel front camera performs well and the photo has enough details. Finally, coming to the performance of this gaming device. The phone is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chipset. The device performs handling everyday tasks like watching content, scrolling social media, editing photos, and multi-tab browsing is buttery smooth. Being a gaming device, the phone shines in this aspect. The phone did not heat up or show any glitches while playing graphic-heavy games with maxed out settings. Playing Call of Duty and Asphalt 9 was an enjoyable experience, leaving us plenty happy. The powerful device is backed by an equally powerful battery. The ROG 6 comes with a 6000 mAh battery, which can last you a day with heavy gaming. It comes with a 65-watt charger. The battery can go from 0 to 100% in less than an hour. While you have to shell out a premium price of 71,999 rupees, the ROG 6 justifies its unique design language, high-end smartphone features, and the X factor, which is a major appeal for mobile gamers that currently no other phone in the market does.
That then was the Sale Guru Show for this week. But do remember, we have great stuff coming in. We are moving closer and closer to the last phone standing. So watch out for all our nominees and watch out for the next week for Sale Guru.